Welcome to My Long Island TV. From Manhasset to Montauk, we have traveled our communities to bring you the following events. I'm your host, Waldo Cabrera. My Long Island TV starts now.
Hi, I'm John Owens, Editor-in-Chief of Anton Community Newspapers, group of 18 newspapers covering Nassau County. Our guest today is Kathleen Rice, Nassau County District Attorney and candidate to succeed Carolyn McCarthy in the 4th Congressional District here in New York. Now, our viewers know you as the DA. You're in your 3rd term as the Nassau County DA, and I think it's fair to say crusading is a word that goes with what you've been doing. You know, you've crusaded against DWI, against violence and drugs, against human trafficking, even against the SAT cheating. Okay, but Congress and you, tell us about that.
Well, I'm very happy to have been able to serve in the capacity as DA for the past 9 years. I can't believe it's been 9 years already. I have been an advocate for individuals, for families, for communities my whole career. And when Carolyn McCarthy announced that she was not going to run again, you realize, wow, these seats come up very rarely. She's been there for 18 years. She served us so well for 18 years. And I think that right now what we need more of in Washington are politically independent problem solvers and not partisan politicians. People have an all-time low feeling about Congress, about the fact that nothing appears to be getting done in Washington. And I thought at this time we need people who have that reputation for political independence to go down and hopefully solve some problems.
What do you think the 3 big issues are in this race?
There's no question that our failed lack of a comprehensive immigration reform is a big issue. It affects us on the local level very much. My hope is that we're going to be able to get something done, to address that issue. That's number 1. Number 2, we have to do everything that we can to encourage people to start small businesses and be able to support them and not over-regulate them so that we can have people giving jobs out to people and entering the economy and helping our national economic recovery get off the ground, because it really hasn't up to this point. We have to do everything that we can. There isn't a person that I meet that doesn't talk about the next big bubble to burst, and that's the college student loan problem. I can tell you that I interview kids coming out of law school who have upwards of $250,000 in student loans. So what's going on with this next generation of Americans? They're moving home with mom and dad. They're not buying a car. They're not getting married. They're not buying a home. They're not entering the economy.
So what do you do?
We need to look at how it is that we allow kids or make money accessible to kids. You know, any big corporation, billion-dollar corporation, can borrow money from the federal government at 1%. We've got kids paying student loans at interest rates of 13, 14, 15%. And these loans are not, you can't refinance them, unlike your car, unlike your mortgage. We need to do more to allow for tax breaks for parents who do have some money to help kids so that they don't have to take out these huge loans. Because at this point, you know, these kids, I don't know how you ever get out from under $250,000 in student loans. And that's what we need to do. We need to make money available to kids. We know that the path to success is there's no question that getting a college education is tied to your likelihood of success, in your life. And we need to make that education affordable and accessible by everyone who wants to take advantage of it.
You were in Israel recently.
Yes.
Tell us about, now the rockets were flying and you were there.
Yes, we were there when the FAA shut down, or didn't allow any American airlines to fly in there. It was a return for me. I had been there 25 years ago on an exchange program with Bar-Ilan University for 2 weeks when I was in law school. So it was amazing to me to see how the development there, and what I took most note of is that every day there, you see Israelis and Palestinians living together, working together, loving together. And yet the media never reports on that. It was a very tense, somber time to be there, but I think that we need to be very vocal in our support of Israel, and I'm glad that I was able to go there.
Now, how about some other topics that you have been working very hard on as DA? Would you take those into the House of Representatives too?
So much of what I have done on a local level is transferable onto the national level as well. DWI is not just an epidemic here in New York State, it's an epidemic across the country.
How does the federal government get involved in DWI?
Well, the way that they have in the past is by tying federal funding, highway funding, to raising the legal age to 21. That's how they can help. They give money to states and they can tie it to legislation that they think can help public safety. So there is a lot that you can do on the federal level, but also working together with local officials like me as DA. I think, if you look at the drug problem, we are now, as Americans, more Americans are using pharmaceutical drugs, are being prescribed pharmaceutical drugs than ever before. This is not just a national crisis, but a local one as well. And we have an increased problem with heroin here as a result of this. So obviously there's a lot that the federal government can do on that end as well. And look, small businesses are the backbone of every community, not just in this congressional district, but all across the state, all across the country. We need to encourage people to reach out with that entrepreneurial spirit, to start businesses, and we need to ensure that they can be successful at doing that and not over-regulate them. So there are lots of ways that, look, I see it on a local level, how much help I get from our federal partners. So I know that the kind of advocacy that I've been able to give to the people of Nassau County can be beneficial to them on the national level in Washington as well.
Well, the Supreme Court ruling on the Hobby Lobby, and I see you've been very big into reproductive rights. How would you take that into Washington?
I am 100% pro-choice. There's no question about that. But there's so much talk about it always being about the choice issue when we talk about women's health. And yes, that's one aspect of it. But the much larger aspect is allowing women to make medical decisions on their own. Not just about choice, but about when they want to start a family, how many kids they want to have, early screening for breast and uterine cancer. So much of what Planned Parenthoods and other clinics like that offer, the majority of what they do, has to do with just giving people, women, access to good health care so that they can make decisions that are in their best interest. So I'm going to be very vocal in support of that because I think this is a life and death issue for women, having access to quality health care.
Because it is narrowing. I mean, that's what we're seeing. It's
yes.
And so fights to override that.
Right. I mean, well, I think you do that by talking about the fact that 90% of what Planned Parenthoods and other clinics like this do is offer women health care. So they can get screening and they can get the breast exams and all of the things that are so critical to keeping yourself and staying in good health, but also making choices on family planning and other issues like that. It's so critically important.
Another issue you've been very big on here is guns. And I know many times you've gone out with the, would they buy the guns from the people in the various neighborhoods. On the federal level, what would you do there?
So we have done gun buybacks as a way of getting illegal guns off our streets. But I don't think, if you could pull 10 people off the street and you could ask them this one question: do you think that background checks should be done at private gun shows? And most people, regardless of what their political affiliation is, would say, of course. You mean that's not required? So there are common sense things that we can do by requiring those background checks at private gun shows so we can make sure that guns aren't getting into the hands of mentally ill or people who shouldn't have them. There's no question about that. But I also think that we have to start talking about banning military assault-style weapons like AR-15s. We're not talking about infringing on anyone's Second Amendment rights at all. We're talking about passing common sense legislation so that every day we don't have to read about another mass shooting at a school or some other location where lives are unnecessarily lost. So I think that I will bring a certain level of credibility and expertise in that area because of what I have spent my life doing. No one, certainly in this race, has held the hands of more mothers who have had to bury their children as a result of gun violence.
Last question. What sort of consolation can you give to people in, well, must be one of the highest taxed congressional districts? Okay, I mean, here in Nassau County, the taxes are very, very high. And you add, local taxes with the state and with the federal. What can you offer them?
Believe me, I've lived here almost my entire life. My parents raised 10 children in this county. I don't know how they did it. They sacrificed enormously, but I think that we have to come up with a real economic plan for development, not just here in Nassau County, but on Long Island. We have such a fragile ecosystem here. We are so exposed to the next 100-year storm that seems to be coming every couple of years, so we need to bring money back here to not just to rebuild our infrastructure and make sure that we are stronger the next time a storm like that comes, but we need to figure out a way to attract businesses here. That's a way that you can offer property relief on the residential side by making Nassau County, making Long Island a place where businesses want to be. That's the most direct way to property relief.
That's great. Well, thank you very much. I'm John Owens, Editor-in-Chief of Anton Community Newspapers, and I'd like to thank Kathleen Rice for taking the time out from your campaign and from being District Attorney of Nassau County to meet with us today.
Thank you.